Hello, friends. Today we're continuing our journey through the book of Acts, and I'll be reading to you from Acts chapter 16, verse 11 through 15, from the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. It says, "We set sail from Troas and took a straight course to Samothrace, the following day to Neapolis, and from there to Philippi, which was a leading city of the district of Macedonia and a Roman colony. We remained in this city for some days. On the Sabbath day, we went outside the gate by the river, where we supposed there was a place of prayer. And we sat down and spoke to the women who had gathered there. A certain woman named Lydia, a worshiper of God, was listening to us. She was from the city of Thyatira and a dealer in purple cloth. The Lord opened her heart to listen eagerly to what Paul was saying. When she and her household were baptized, she urged us, saying, 'If you have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come and stay at my home.' And she prevailed upon us." So in a previous video, I took an in-depth look at Paul. And one of the reasons I did that was because a lot of what unfolds in the book of Acts is predicated on Paul's work. This is evident in today's text, since it's on one of his journeys that Paul meets Lydia. Acts and Paul's letters record 3 missionary journeys of Paul and his companions. Paul's first missionary journey is found in Acts chapter 13 and 14. His second missionary journey can be found in Acts chapter 16 through 18. And the third missionary journey is recorded in Acts chapter 18 through 23. There is also a case that there is a fourth missionary journey since Paul went to Rome and was imprisoned there for some time. Think about this for a moment. On his missionary journeys, Paul traveled 10,000 miles and crossed land and sea. This is how Paul describes his journey in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 25 through 27. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was pelted with stones. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and a day in the open sea. I have been constantly on the move. I have been in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from my fellow Jews, in danger from Gentiles, in danger in the city, in danger in the country, in danger at sea, and in danger from false believers. I have labored and toiled, and have often gone without sleep. I have known hunger and thirst, and have often gone without food. I have been cold and naked." These missionary journeys were no sitting around a campfire singing songs type of a deal. These missionary journeys were brutal, and they took everything that Paul had in him. In this reading from Acts chapter 16, Paul is on his second missionary journey, and they decided to spend a few days in the city of Philippi. This was part of his mission to Europe. In the text, it says, on the Sabbath, they went outside the gate by the river, where they were looking for a place of prayer. They sat down with the women who had gathered there, and a certain worshiper named Lydia was listening to them, especially to Paul. Then the Lord opened her heart, and she and her household were baptized. Then she invited them to come stay at my home. This text, which includes a woman, is somewhat of an anomaly, and here's why. In the patriarchal structure of the ancient world in which the Bible was shaped, women had very few rights. In fact, in most New Testament narratives, in which women were at the center of the story. Not many details were given about them. Even their names were excluded. But here we know Lydia's name, where she's from, and what she does. And this is incredible. However, while this might be a gender-inclusive moment in the book of Acts, it's also indicative of something else. And that is the classism that was just as real as the gender, racial, and cultural issues in biblical times. Lydia was from a high socioeconomic class, and that could be why she was included in this text. According to New Testament scholar William Barclay, Lydia came from the very top end of the social scale because she was a purple merchant. According to Professor of New Testament Chandler Vinson, Lydia was in a lucrative business. In Lydia's time, dyes were natural, not synthetic as they are today. And purple dye was especially expensive and reserved for the elite as a status symbol. Only the emperor wore a toga made entirely of purple cloth. You see, the purple dye was expensive because of the difficulty of extracting it. Thousands of mollusks were required to dye a single yard. Vincent says that the purple dye was derived from the mucus of a hypobronchial gland of the murex shellfish. This snail was especially prominent in Thyatira, Lydia's hometown. The milky fluid was then put into a brine where vinegar was added and was then left in the sun until the color gradually changed, transformed from a yellowish hue to a deep purplish red. It was then boiled down to further concentrate it. It took approximately 12,000 shellfish to extract 1.5 grams of purple dye. 1 gram of purple dye was valued more than 10 grams of gold at that time. And a pound of wool dyed with this purple dye was worth more than 3 years of a laborer's wage. When I think about Lydia, I imagine her to be a Vera Wang type, very confident yet unassuming. And here she is availing herself to be part of God's work. By saying, "Come and stay at my home," she was offering hospitality. This was her role in the mission. The book of Acts is peppered with stories of women that may have raised eyebrows in the first century and might still do so today. These women are not the stuff of Sunday school picture books. They're real and they're diverse. Household servants, tradeswomen, business leaders, intellectuals, and they're essential to the church's understanding of itself in any era or culture. Sabi Sturtze, a Christian writer of faith and culture, says, "The gospel emphasized the colorful mosaic of the kingdom, made up of men and women from every ethnic background and social background, all with equal access and standing in Christ." Paul's friend Luke, who writes Acts, was especially concerned with the women in this wonderful kaleidoscope of the early church. Both in his gospel and in the book of Acts, he took pains to portray them in all their diversity. From maids who answered the door to cultural elites who moved in circles of privilege and power. These were real women of warmth and wit and intellect, who who played essential roles in the spread of the gospel that turned the world upside down. In the 21st century, as never before, it's crucial that the church reaffirms these truths, not only for its own sake, but also for the sake of the surrounding culture that's watching. So today, think about Mary, the mother of Jesus, about Dorcas, also known as Tabitha, Mary, the mother of John Mark, Rhoda, the servant girl, Lydia of Thyatira, Damaris from Areopagus, and Priscilla of Priscilla and Aquila. Not to mention the many other women that were not named, but were behind the scenes assisting the apostles in any way they could, directly and indirectly spreading the love of God. And remember this, no matter how small you think your contribution is, you are necessary and you are important. So be good, be kind, and spread God's love in all you do. You never know how a few simple words like, "Come and stay at my home," could impact the work of God. The grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of the Lord abides forever. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Goodbye for now.